Hey, how's it going today, everyone? Today I'm going to be reviewing the LED Kingdom Fender Flare kit. This specific kit is for 2009 to 2018 Dodge Ram 1500 trucks, excluding RT and Rebel models. I'm going to go over real quick what comes in the box. You've got all four Fender flares, front and rear, and an assortment of parts and small tools here. I'm going to read off what the manual says you've got here. You have an edge trim tool, a wrench. That's just a 3/16 hex head wrench, some black mylar tabs, some black metal clips, two different sizes of screws, some nylock nuts, just basic lock nuts, some normal flat washers, and then this rubber trim right here. It's basically weather sealing. It's going to go around the edge of the fender flares to protect the paint on your truck. Alright, a couple things you might want to need, don't necessarily need them, or might want to use, you may not need them. Would be an electric drill with a 3/16 hex head, an adjustable wrench, and then a number 2 screwdriver, and if you've got it, a number 2 head for that electric drill. Okay, that's what comes in the box. Now we'll go ahead and go into the installation portion of this video. Okay, so the truck that I will be installing the fender flares on is this. It's my 2017 Ram 1500. It's the Bighorn model. Pretty much the same body lines as a Sport or Express. Now, I cleaned the truck a few days ago, so it's relatively clean, but nonetheless, I want to go ahead and make sure that any metal that's going to be covered up or in contact with the fender flares is good and clean. So I'm going to take this, it's just a damp microfiber cloth. I'm going to gently wipe down the body panels, remove any dust or small bits of dirt or anything. I don't want to trap it in there behind the fender flares. I'm going to do that on all four fenders, like so. Alright, it's hot outside, so I'm going to try to do as much work indoors as I can. So what I'm going to show you right now is how to install the included weather stripping on these fender flares. So this should be common sense, but just to make sure there's no confusion, your weather stripping, I should say, is going to go on the outside or top edge of the fender flare, not here on the inside. There's no issue or no risk of that scratching the paint of your fender. Out here, however, we're going to go ahead and put the stripping on. Okay, so looking at the stripping right here, you can see that it's wider or longer on one side, and that's the side that has the double-sided tape on it. That longer side is going to go inside the fender flare, so towards the ground, whereas this shorter side will be what's exposed on top of the fender flare when it's installed. So basically all we're going to do is you'll just start it right here at the end and just work it on slowly but surely. You definitely don't want to rush this, and work your way all the way around the edge, contouring or forming the weather stripping to the fender flare itself. Okay, so as you can see here, I peeled back about 2 or 3 inches of the adhesive and kind of just started it here at the back end. This is the rear fender flare that I'm working on right now. I don't know how well I can show you since I don't have enough hands here, but basically what I'm going to do is continue tucking like so. And you got to work with it. It's kind of hard with one hand. Tucking. You can really go 6 inches, you can go a foot, you can go 1 inch, it doesn't really matter. But as you're tucking, ever so often, this right here is not adhered yet because the tape is still covered on one side. So now I'm just going to grab this red pigtail, pull it, and then pat my fender or my weather stripping back down so it adheres. So here you can see my tape is still not peeled back very far, but I've lined up probably about 6 to 8 inches of the weather strip is pushed into place. Now, this may be kind of hard to show you, but I'm going to grab the pigtail right here, keeping these fingers in place, holding the weather stripping down. I'm just going to pull the pigtail all the way down until it passes my thumb. Okay, as you can see, the weather stripping on that rear fender flare is done. The front fender flare process is more or less the same. Only thing about it is it specifies in the instructions that you should start here at the back of the flare, work your way around the same way, contouring to it. But when you get up here to the front of the front fender flare where it contours around the headlights of your truck, this 90-degree angle right here, and this one right here are a bit too sharp of an angle for the weather stripping to just contour naturally. So you may need to take some scissors or a knife and cut a little slit in the corner of the stripping right here, and a little slit in the corner of the stripping right here, just to help it contour and not bulge or deform when it goes around those corners. These bolts, washers, and their nuts right here, they're really just cosmetic, but they're going to go in these holes all the way around the top outside edge of the flares. So what I'm going to do is take the bolt, take one of the included flat washers, put it on. Now they are slightly too large to just push through the holes, so I'm kind of lining them up right so, and just running them right through. Once you do that, flip over the flare and simply take one of these nuts and thread it on. You can tighten it with a wrench or pliers or whatever you have. Now, you're going to do that all the way around the outside edge of all 4 flares. The finished product is going to look like this. So the first flare that I want to tackle is going to be the rear passenger side fender flare. Okay, so looking at the manual right here. First things first, it says that 2012 models, if they have this little piece right here, you may need to remove it. I'm assuming that means 2012 and newer models, because my 2017 does have that piece. It says the same thing, it's kind of hard to see in the picture, for this other smaller piece on the bottom right here. I think you can see that. I'm going to attempt to leave them on. If I run into any issues, then I'll pull them off quickly. One thing I forgot to mention, when I was showing you tools you'll need an 8mm socket wrench, and we're going to use that to remove 6 of the screws here that are holding the plastic fender liner to the actual metal body panel right now. Okay, if you look in the picture right here, we're going to remove 6 of the 9 screws. Those 3 that you see pictured, we're going to go ahead and leave them in. So starting from the left or the rear of this fender, I loosened the first screw, the second screw, the third screw. I skipped this 4th one right here. There's an empty hole in the middle. We're going to install a metal clip there here in a minute. We skipped the next screw, hit this one, got this one, skipped this here. There's 2 very close together. You're going to skip the top one, and then we got the bottom one. Now that we've removed all 6 of those screws, set them aside because we're going to reuse them later. Now if we look at step 18 in the rear fender installation, it says to install a plastic tab over the existing factory hole. Okay, so that's going to be this hole right here in the center of the fender. There was no screw in it. It was just an open hole already in the fender. So we're going to take this little black plastic tab, which has adhesive tape on the back, and we're just going to press it over that hole. Now that it's over the hole, I'm just going to I'm going to try it with my screwdriver right here. I'm going to poke through the middle, exposing the screw hole that we're going to use to mount the fender flare. Now we have that like that. Sorry, my camera works a little shaky today. Come back here to step 19, and it says to install one of the black clips over that hole. Okay, so that's just going to be this right here. We're going to come up, try to hold my camera steady here, and slide that over the pad. This may be a little difficult. I got to pry it open. There we go. You want to try to center your hole in such a way that you'll be able to get the screw through the clip here in a minute. It's kind of hard to do one-handed, but bear with me. Sorry, I had to put my phone down there so I could use both hands, but now you see the clip is centered over that hole that we're going to run a screw through here in a minute. Okay, so step 23 says to press firmly on the flare and tighten all the screws. There are 7 mounting points since we just added that one at the top of the fender, so I'm assuming that's what I'm going to use this small silver screw for that came with the kit. Okay, so I'm fairly certain this is going to take 2 hands, so put the camera in a position where I hope you can actually see what I'm doing. I'm going to start, or at least attempt to start, with the top center hole on the fender flare. I'm going to try to line it up here as best as I can. Lining up the top center screw hole on the flare with the hole, or the clip that I just installed. Okay, that one's not tightened, not at all, but it's in the hole enough that it should hold the flare in place. Now I'm going to go back to using those 6 black screws that I removed from the truck earlier. Now I'm not going to tighten any of these screws all the way until I get the flare 100% in place, all the screws installed part way, so I can make sure everything lines up properly. There's another one part way installed. I'm going to work my way over to the back side. Okay, now those 2 black plastic pieces that I said earlier that I was going to try to leave on, I'm going to try to show you. It looks like they are going to have to be removed. You look right here. There's definitely some fitment issues here, so I'm going to pause the video and remove these black OEM pieces. Alright, with that removed, now there's nothing obstructing the fender flare from fitting up to the body panel on the rear side, just like it should. So that took maybe 5 or 10 minutes of loosening, tightening, and adjusting things to get it to line up the way I want it to. Now, if you look at it now, you'll see that the rubber weather seal right there, it's kind of deformed in a few places. It got pinched in places it shouldn't have. So we're going to take this little tool that came with the kit. We're going to come around the edge. We're going to push the seal back to where it belongs. Might have to start with the curved end first, tucking it back in, like so. Kind of tuck it down back behind the flare as it should be, making sure you don't scratch your paint. And that's getting it more or less all the way back lined up where it should be. Alright, and then if you need to, you can take the straight end and push it underneath as well, all the way around the weather seal, just to get it lined up how you want it to be between the flare and the fender of your truck. So moving on to the front passenger side fender flare. The manual says to remove 3 factory screws. They're same 8mm screws just like we use on the back fender. And then again on 2011 or newer models, there's this little plastic piece. You can see it right here. We're going to go ahead and remove that and then get started. Alright, we removed this screw, this screw. There wasn't a screw here in the first place. I've loosened this screw. I'll remove it in a second. These 2 holes here did not have screws in them, nor did this one. Now these front 2 screws here, we're going to loosen this one and remove it, and then this one right here we can go ahead and leave in. There's no reason to take it out. So step 8 here says to install the magnet black clips, and that would also include these little plastic pads at this location here, as well as right here. Now, as you can see, I already installed one here, but on my 2017 model, there's already a OEM clip in place right here, so I'm not going to put one of the black clips that came with the kit. All right, now I'm going to begin fastening this flare on, just like I did on the back. First, I'm going to line up the rearmost bottom hole. If you can get somebody like a friend to help you out here, so you have some extra hands, that would definitely make this process a little bit easier, but it is doable with just one person. Alright, that one is in far enough to hold itself in place. Okay, and I have run into a small issue, which I will show you. The flare's only held in with 2 screws right now, but it is sitting more or less where it will be once I tighten it down. As you can see, if you have a Hemi version of the truck, you're probably going to experience a little bit of an issue right here, where the fender flare is sitting over the top of the Hemi emblem. The manual mentioned this might happen. I was hoping it wouldn't be the case for me, but what I'm going to have to do is remove the Hemi emblem and then relocate it away from the flare slightly. Alright, about 5 minutes of work later, the emblem's removed. That one fit pretty well. So now I'm going to do the same thing I did on the rear with a little plastic tool for the weather stripping and go around and adjust it how I want it to be.